Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mel. I grew up playing outside.
And I grew up doing something meaningful, watching movies and TV.
I never had cable, and we finally bought a VCR about the same time DVD players hit the market.
Throughout our marriage, Mel has sadly missed many of my pop culture references and movie quotes.
So it's time to catch up on all the films I missed.
Hello, howdy, and greetings.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's movie time.
It is movie time, the happiest time of the week. Do you know what we're watching tonight?
No clue. What is it? What are we watching?
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's about conveyance.
Conveyance.
Yes.
Like
the title is, at least.
Okay.
When you, if you're like, I'm going to get there, whether it's by
planes, trains, and automobiles?
Yeah. Have you heard of this movie before?
I've heard of this movie.
What do you know about it?
I think it's a comedy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it has I don't know, Steve Martin or John Candy or Bill Murray or Chevy Chase. I'm just going to name all the top comedic actors of that period.
Anyone else you want to mention?
I have no idea what women might be in this, but okay, cool. Okay. I've never seen it. I know I've heard references to some of the jokes in it, I think, but I can't think of anything specific, but I'm sure I'll recognize a lot of it.
I can think of one joke that I typically have. Yeah, I can think of one joke that I hear quite often, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. Sorry, I'm thinking of the joke. Anyway, I'm fine. I promise. Not that was a clue that it's a comedy, wasn't it? Oh man, I'm so off my game tonight.
I know that wasn't a guess. I know it's a comedy.
Oh, okay, good.
Nothing spoiled there.
I didn't really spoil much then. Okay, so admittedly, you don't know a lot about this film, but that being said, top 2 things you're excited about, looking forward to, based on what you know, and top 2 things you're dreading.
Okay, actually, I'm excited because this is one of those classic films that I think even my parents have seen.
What?
I think.
Wow.
I don't know, but
is Humphrey Bogart in this movie?
So I think I'm excited to see one of those. This is in that top tier of movies that everyone seems to know about that I don't know about.
Okay.
And I'm also excited about whoever the actors are because I think it's the young them. I know I'm going to be happy with whoever's in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the dreading? Any dreading?
Okay.
Lurking in the hearts of this?
I'm not a huge fan of the rowdy, that's not the right word for it, crude humor.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if it's going to be that kind of movie. Is it I don't know.
The fact that you said your parents saw this movie makes me want it to be that kind of movie because then it would be really awkward, thinking about your parents watching it.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just find out. I don't know. I guess that would be the only thing that I'm maybe dreading. So
okay.
What kind of humor is it? So.
All right. So.
Yay, let's do this.
You don't want to take any guesses about the plot or anything?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Why are there all these methods of transportation listed in the title? I don't know.
That's a great question. And I think you're going to find the answer to it. I would really like to hear what your poster would look like for this one.
It's it's looking over the wing of an airplane.
Okay.
And maybe there's some luggage on the runway.
Okay.
I don't know. Something like a normal sight, but it's kind of off.
All right.
That's my take.
And your tagline?
And don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley. Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's a different movie, right?
I am neither confirming nor denying that statement.
Okay.
Well, let's go check it out.
Let's do this.
Let's do
Finally.
It.
Woo!
Woo!
During holiday travel, some people get delirious, some get delayed, and some get Del Griffith.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all 3.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the modern family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin,
You're going the wrong way! What? Are you mad at me?
John Candy,
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
in a new film by John Hughes. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That was like better than I ever imagined it to be. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, you didn't. I'm just laughing because I was trying to. You were like, I think I know what this is, but I don't know what it is. And so you had this like ethereal idea of what this one was going to be like.
Yeah.
Did it live up to your ethereal expectations?
It exceeded my expectations.
Wow.
I pictured most of this movie happening on a plane.
Oh, okay.
And then my mind would kind of go into the Twilight Zone plane scene.
There's something on the wing. It's John Candy. That would be great. I'm
Oh my
picturing him
gosh.
sheepishly like waving from the wing right now. No.
Hi, I just need to. Can I sit next to you?
Oh,
Squeeze
hey
in.
there. How's it going over there, eh?
Yeah, so it exceeded my expectations, but let's just be clear, like my expectations were what I just described.
Sure.
A movie on a plane, and then maybe with a Twilight Zone nod. So
Kind of feels like you're explaining snakes on a plane.
am I?
A little bit.
I never saw that.
Mouth agape. Shocking. I
Yeah.
don't think I've actually finished it. I think I started watching it one time and made it through the first half and then maybe fell asleep.
Didn't it come out at the same time there was like Anaconda?
No, it was a bit after.
It was a bit after. Okay.
But it was definitely during there was a period of time where around when this was made, and now we're digressing, but that's fine. Where
this is an important digression. We need to
Important.
figure out when
No.
Anaconda was
well,
made.
I know when Anaconda was made. It was made in the 90s, and Snakes on a Plane was in the early aughts, if I remember right.
Okay.
And yes, I said aughts because that's just one of my things. I like to say that.
I know you do. Well, I saw
But anyway,
Anaconda,
yes.
and that's why I didn't see Snakes on the Plane, because I was like, I've already seen a snake movie
Oh my
in
goodness.
this century. I don't need to see another one. I'm done.
Technically, those are different centuries, but still, one was the 90s, one was the aughts. But anyway, in your lifetime, you're like, yes, I only need one snakes. But Anaconda's not on a plane. Snakes on a plane are snakes on a plane. Just saying. Back to planes, trains, and automobiles.
All right, let's talk about planes, trains, and
Yes.
automobiles. This movie was amazing.
Yeah.
I called it. It had Steve Martin and John Candy in it.
Did it have Bill Murray in
No.
it as well?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
It also didn't have, I think I said Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase.
I
yeah,
was
that
just
the other
naming
one.
all the
Yeah.
top ones.
Yes.
Didn't have him, but all you really need is Steve Martin and John Candy.
True.
I loved those two together.
True.
They were amazing.
And
magic.
You were slightly apprehensive going into a comedy that you thought would have a different tone.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the tone of this one?
Yeah, absolutely. It was hilarious.
Although
Good natured humor.
I do recall seeing you quite shocked at a certain point in this film.
The tirade at the airport counter. No, the car rental.
Yes. Steve Martin.
Okay, I read somewhere that he says the F word like 18 times in like the span of a minute.
Yeah.
I've never seen him swear so much.
I know.
And it was a bit shocking.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like seeing your dad swear.
I'm speechless. I'm frozen with that thought.
I'm
No,
literally picturing your dad swearing too. And I also am now going to freeze.
You've never heard him swear. That would not.
How do you know I
happen.
haven't heard him swear? I've heard him say gall darn, I'm pretty sure.
I don't even think you've heard him say that.
You're calling me out.
Because I know.
I think the closest I've ever seen your dad swear is he went, and that was him swearing. Like that's him. That's the equivalent
That's
of
a
your father
strong
swearing.
reaction.
That's a strong reaction from your dad. It's true.
Okay, but Steve Martin
Yes.
saying all the F words
Yes.
to that wonderful woman. I don't know her name, but
Yes.
she's
the
a
secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jinx, by the way.
And she's like, oh, she kind of talks like a Wisconsin girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounded
Is that Irish at the end there?
Oh no, I
A
shouldn't
girl,
do that.
hi, welcome to our
was a-
Ireland. Our
Bad decision on my part.
yeah.
But she sounds like a Minnesotan person,
Mhm.
and he's saying this all to her smiling little cherub chubby face.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she's great. And then she responds with an F word of her own.
She does. It's very awkward. What did you think about that scene? It was very different from what you were expecting. It was shocking you. Like, do you think it worked?
I think, well, that was why that was rated R, right? Like that's why it got the R rating.
Sure.
Except I read in New Zealand they didn't rate it R, so that was just, and it was all kept in.
Cheeky.
They're just more relaxed over there.
It is just a word.
I kind of thought it like took. So part of the funny thing was like Steve Martin being so straight and so serious, and the more serious he was, the funnier everything is, right?
Yeah.
And I almost think they pushed a little too far on the gas on that one.
Yeah.
Like it kind of took you. It was a little extreme. I don't know. It was fine. I'm not morally complaining about it, but
Okay.
like for his character, I was like, whoa, he's really stressed.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, like, I feel like it pretty well describes you. The whole movie is a digression of him. Like, you see him, like, reaching up, and it's kind of like, you could definitely tell John Hughes was in his, like, this is the middle-aged movie. Because when I saw this as a younger man, I actually didn't really think it was all that funny.
Right. You wouldn't as a teenager. Maybe. I don't know. It wouldn't land the same way.
I don't think, like, even watching it now, I don't think it's like the funniest movie I've ever seen, but it's solidly good. Yeah. And some of the like it had like a good balance of gags and not gags and stuff. So, but like for his character though, he's so like together, air quotes. And then you just see him slowly just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And that actually is not that far in the movie where he does that. So then you're seeing him already starting to mentally break like his social like norms, you know? And then, oh my goodness, it's just a roller coaster. You're going down the hill after that.
That's part of the fun. There's something so funny and perfect about him, Steve Martin, having a tantrum. He's really good at being annoyed when he's in the parking lot and like throwing his ticket and just like literally, like we see our little children do this, like having a tantrum and flailing his body around and shouting. Oh my gosh, that's movie magic. Like there's no one else I want to watch do that. He's so good.
I really think he was well served genetically by going gray so young because he went gray really young, and it just adds like such a like his humor is very much like kind of like nose up at you. I'm sophisticated. And that's what he turns on its head. And just being gray, unless he dyes it, and that could be a major conspiracy, he just really committed to the humor shift there. It just works really well with like when he's delivering that kind of humor.
Do you find that as someone who has a little bit of gray yourself?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you relate? Like, are you looking for the positives of having gray hair?
Oh, I mean... Yes, maybe. Are you asking, am I projecting onto Steve Martin right
I wonder.
I might be. I was just I also use a similar tactic though. Like you could look at me and think that is a distinguished gentleman. And I really am not that at all when you talk to me.
You could look at you and say that.
You could.
Should we summarize this movie real quick?
Wow. I think we just set a record.
Halfway through.
Yes, please summarize the film. We were too excited.
It was actually, so the film is like by John Hughes, which I didn't know until the end when we were watching it, but I had some clues. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He's trying to get back to Chicago. Oh, John Hughes. And then
for the record, anyone who's under the age of 30, if John Hughes is the guy who made Ferris Bueller's Day Off, otherwise you will not know who he is. Keep going, Hans.
It just had his mark. It felt like his movie.
Yeah.
So at the end when his name came up, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right. So it was based on one of his real life experience where he was working in advertising in New York, and he wanted to fly home and see his family for a few days, and into Chicago.
Yeah.
And if you've ever flown to Chicago in real life,
It's horrible.
It's horrible. And there's always snow. There's always bad weather. We're
Windy
entering
City.
that season soon.
Windy City, yep. Mhm.
Yeah. And if you get the wrong airport, you're
Oh,
as we did.
yes. That was horrible.
So anyway, summary, that's what I was doing, right?
Yeah, summary.
Okay. So much like John Hughes' experience, the character Steve Martin, he is working in advertising. He's trying to get home to visit his kids for Thanksgiving, right?
It was Thanksgiving, yeah.
And his
Which,
family.
wink, wink. That's why we watched
I
this.
know. I'm thankful for this. So he's trying to get home. His flight is canceled. He ends up in Wichita, Kansas, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
That's where
Mhm.
John Hughes ended up
Mhm.
because this really happened to him.
Yeah.
And then he tries to find his way home. All the while, there's this I don't know how to describe him. John Candy. He's just
Salt of the earth? I don't
irksome,
annoying?
annoying.
Yeah.
He's happy, but he's
a
also
lot like
in
me.
your space.
He's a lot like me, actually. He's happy, but in your space, yeah.
He kind of knows how to do things, so Steve Martin's kind of going along with him, but he's
Mhm.
also kind of pushed along with him, and
Mhm.
they kind of end up, they share a hotel room, they share a bed, they
Yes,
share
they
a
do.
lot of golden moments as they're trying to get back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is about them actually just trying to do that.
Mhm.
In the end, some signs and some things pointed to John Candy's character not really having a family to go back to, that his wife had actually passed away. And so in the end, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, the holiday spirit, which I love, Steve Martin overcomes all of his annoyances and actually invites him home, for dinner, and he meets his family and stuff.
Yeah. It's very sweet.
It is so sweet.
It's funny that it took us that long to get to the summary of the film, because
Mhm.
it's almost like the movie is about getting to the place and it takes longer than it should.
So appropriate.
So meta. The thing that do you know what joke I was laughing about when we did our before watching this?
Yeah, I said a reference about "and don't call me Shirley."
Uh-huh.
Okay, which was not in this movie.
No,
not
it
in this
wasn't.
movie at
No,
all.
it's not at all.
Got that totally wrong.
Yeah.
Is that a Leslie Nielsen thing?
He's the actor who says the line, yes.
And is it Naked Gun?
No.
Naked Gun 2.5?
No.
Is it one of the Naked
And it's
Guns?
not Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Is that a movie? Is that
You'll
a
have to look it up, I guess. Or wait.
Okay, so yeah, what is it from? Why were you laughing so hard?
Oh, that's not why I was laughing.
Oh,
I was
Why were you laughing?
I was laughing about a scene in the film.
Uh-huh.
And I was just wondering if you wanted to guess which scene in the film echoes through my mind ever since I've seen it. That makes me giggle.
Oh my gosh, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
I know the one I keep thinking about.
Which-
I don't think it's the same one.
Well,
When they're on the plane early in the movie,
Mhm.
and John Candy, he starts taking off his shoes and
Oh.
his socks,
yeah.
and they're so squished. They're shoulder to shoulder,
Mhm.
and he's flipping his sock back and forth to kind of
air it out
or maybe
get the sweat
unbunch
off
it.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's
it's
oh my
horrible.
gosh, it's
horrible.
terrible. It's
No,
your worst nightmare.
That makes me shudder. That doesn't make me laugh. That makes me shudder.
Okay. Is it the car lighting on fire?
No.
Okay, because that was really funny.
Yeah. Well, I was a juvenile boy when I saw this, probably, and there's a very silly practical gag, which when they were in bed and they wake up the next morning and they're snuggling,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're kind of slowly waking up, and then he's like, "Where's your hand right now?" And he said, "It's in between these two pillows." She's like, "Those aren't pillows."
And then they both jump out of bed.
Yes.
You did laugh a lot of that.
That it's just, I don't know. I was probably 12 or something when I first saw this. I don't know, really young. And it just it's just a dumb joke. Makes me laugh.
They had a lot of that in there.
They did. They really did. That's a good one. So if you were going to be traveling to Chicago, why would you ever go to Chicago? But
Because it's amazing. I love
Okay,
Chicago,
okay.
especially during the holidays.
fair enough. There are human beings who feel that
I
way.
actually have stars in my eyes as I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's true. You do. If you were going to be on just a crazy trip, what means of conveyance would you want in the movie you made to get there?
Oh, traveling by train is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, it feels glamorous if it's a good train.
Mm-hmm.
You have room. It's like, you don't have to wear a seatbelt. You can just relax.
Yeah.
And I love traveling on the train. And usually they have food carts. So
Mhm.
anytime you can have food, I'm happy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If-
What about you?
If you were, well, I would probably, I romantically want to pick a train,
Mhm.
but I want it to be the trains that they have in like I think I've seen this in England. They have like a Wes Anderson train.
Yes,
Where
please.
that's what I want. I don't want any train I've ever actually been on. Like the one into New York was okay.
That was good.
It was tolerable,
Okay.
but it wasn't like, I want like the fancy, I'm in a tux. Like I have to like make sure I like wax my mustache before I get out of my compartment. That's the kind of train I want to be on.
You want an Agatha Christie
Pretty much, yeah.
train.
Yeah, murder.
Without the murder.
Yeah, I don't want the murder. As long as it's not me. No, I don't want the murder. That's what I would pick. So if you, though,
Mhm.
were making a sequel to this, perhaps,
Okay.
what would it would be planes, trains, automobiles, and what else? What other transportation types would you do to up? Because it's like the Fast and the Furious. You got to keep going. And I know you've never seen any of those either, but you get the concept, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I immediately, my first thought is to add camels, because
Okay.
camel rides, that is a way of travel. That is a
way.
mean of travel.
Yes, it still exists. It's true.
And it's awkward, and smelly, and all
Probably,
that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that would be my first thing. But then to make it like cool and like up the ante,
Yes.
probably sort of like a submersible,
Ooh.
like something like that. If they have to go, in the water, like that,
Okay.
something would go underneath and like.
I feel like that would be in the leg of the trip that was near China. Like, I feel like they would have something about a hotel. I think I read something about that actually, like an underwater hotel or something. I would definitely want to have one of the new space tour things where like you have to go in the atmosphere a bit and then come down.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd probably have to make it an acronym for the sequel. It'd be like PTACS. That got the camel, submersible, and spacecraft. So.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say let's rename it.
Okay. Well, we could probably do that too. What do you think that they could have done differently about the John Candy character to like kind of like unravel his story? You know, he kind of like, it was breadcrumbs. Do you think it was enough? Do you think they should have done more? What do you think?
So I think one of the reasons why it was breadcrumbs and that they didn't do more is because that was like a last minute change that they did after the filming was done.
Oh.
So like that footage of Steve Martin on the L in Chicago is actually just like so he shot like twice the amount of film that you normally would for a movie this size. He just the original running time was like 4 hours. They cut it down to 2 hours, and then they had to cut it down even more. Like they just had an obscene amount of footage from the film.
Yeah.
And what they would do is they would film things and then leave the camera rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So that scene where like you see Steve Martin like reflecting,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually him just sitting in between takes. He didn't know he was being recorded, and it just worked out so beautifully.
Wow.
That's what they did.
That's
so
cool.
Anyway, so that's why there's not a whole lot building up to like his character. I think in today's world you would have to like go back and do his character a little bit more. That's kind of what movies seem to do nowadays, but I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, and I like the surprise and the ending of it being the way it was. Like I don't mind that I don't really feel like I need to know more.
Okay.
What about you? Did you want to see more development there?
I didn't want to see more development there. I thought it was a good like it allowed you as an audience member to participate in your distaste for John Candy's character.
Mm-hmm.
It gave you kind of permission because you only see the oaf. You know what I mean? You don't see like any of the underlying reasons why he's trying to be so positive all the time or trying to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like brush that all off. But yeah.
I have this quote from his daughter.
Whose daughter?
John Candy's daughter.
Yep.
Vanity Fair did this article, I think when there was like a 30-year anniversary. And she was like reflecting on what she witnessed as his daughter. So she said, "This was the first role that I really noticed him prepping the character. He really planned the facial hair. He really planned the hair, like Del Griffin had to have a perm. And we went and got a perm. I remember him coming home with dark hair and a perm. So it was like, okay, this is what he's doing now." I love that he was so focused on
get into the character.
Those details. Yeah. And then he went out and got a perm.
That's cool.
For the movie. I love that.
Both Steve Martin and John Candy really liked this film. Like it's one of their favorite films that they've done. And Steve Martin, actually, he was convinced to like join after he'd read the script where there was the seat adjustment scene in the car.
Yes.
Where sorry, it's making me laugh to remember it. He's trying to just go to sleep, right? And he wants to like put the car seat all the way back, and then it just goes really slow because it's mechanical.
Okay,
And then later, like when they're putting on the brakes and stuff, it just goes all the way forward.
Yes.
That one, and actually the F-bomb scene, he really he was like, "Yep, doing this."
Yeah.
Like so.
That's why he signed on.
Exactly.
I'm glad.
Yeah. This just makes me think too, like it's really interesting thinking about Steve Martin's film career. Like, how many Steve Martin films have you seen again?
I still don't really know him very well.
You've seen him play the banjo in real life. What do you?
I have. That was so amazing and wonderful. Like if anyone has a chance to do it, go see him play the banjo.
Yeah.
Okay, but movies, I don't know. I've seen this one.
Okay. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I've seen some of his SNL skits. He was in a Muppet movie. He did a cameo in a Muppet movie. He was the waiter.
That's true. It was the original Muppet movie, yeah.
Yep. Am I missing something? I know I am.
You're missing about 30, but
that I've seen?
No, I just mean in general.
I haven't seen Father of the Bride.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen there's like a movie where he has a lot of kids or something.
Oh, Cheaper by the Dozen, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I also want to see Only Murderers in the Building, his TV show. Have not seen that. So I'm like a huge fan, but I haven't seen hardly any of his work.
Well, it's just his earlier work. I won't get too far into it because I don't want to spoil them for you, but he's a comedian. Like he did stand-up comedy and shows and stuff. And you definitely see him, his career kind of evolving beyond that. And this was kind of a clear sense of that, I think, where he was kind of like, he was the straight man, but it was almost dramatic, riding that line of being a drama/comedy. So it was just really cool to see it. It fleshes it out. There's other movies he's done that have been way more serious than this too. So yeah, I look forward to seeing them.
Me too. We have to mention how Kevin Bacon's in the beginning of this movie. And
yes,
I thought, that he's in this movie, but it was just the very beginning scene when they do this taxi race.
Yep.
But it's great. It's wonderful. Doesn't it make you want to go to New York?
It makes me want to watch another Kevin Bacon film that takes place in New York City.
Well, I heard that like that film, like some people think that he was in his character in this scene for that film. And then there's a scene. Okay, it's all like a little foggy, but let me explain it.
Please.
There's a scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where Steve Martin's wife is like
PiTA.
watching TV. It's comparing like her life at home waiting for him to come and then his living nightmare
sure,
where he's going to sleep with John Candy next to him. And so some people think like, I don't know, whatever's playing on the TV is that movie, but it's like it came out before that movie. So there's like, I don't know, the film world gets all in a hubbub about stuff like that.
There's literally two different films you could be talking about right now. I don't think you're referencing the one I'm thinking, because there's a John Hughes film that Kevin Bacon is actually the star of.
Yes. I don't know the name of that one.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So what do you think the message of this film was, Melissa?
I think the message is that you never know what's going on in another person's life. You have to be kind to the people around you because you just never know what they're going through. John Hughes is good at that.
He is. He is.
I heard that he was an extremely fast writer. that he would write a screenplay in like 6 days.
Yeah, it was like this weird zone he would get in,
That's
I guess.
cool. Sorry, what do you think the message is in this movie?
A lot of times when I ask you this question in my mind, I'll be thinking about what my answer is.
Mhm.
So that's why I always get to have like my answer sometimes can feel more well thought out just because I literally am thinking about it longer than you are.
So you're not listening to my answer.
No, I'm
You're
listening.
just thinking about
I operate at a higher level of thinking, Melissa.
Okay,
So
sure. Must be the gray hair.
I can do, it's definitely the gray hair. But literally in my head, I said exactly what you said verbatim. Like, you don't know what other people are going through and what's in their minds.
You don't.
You don't. It's true. And this was a really cool way to, that's the thing I like about John Hughes films is they can be silly or super like dramatic, but they're always like have this really cool underlying heart to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just about, it's the human connection portion. I really appreciate that about his films and enjoy them.
I love that you use the word heart. That's so perfect for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So do you have a bad travel story that you want to share?
This is getting creepier. I was about to ask you the same thing.
You get to go first then.
Probably the worst travel story I can think of, excuse me, was when you and I moved to California and we were on a Greyhound bus, many Greyhound buses over the course of 48 hours.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst one I could think of.
That was pretty bad.
I have no idea where it's at, but I remember stopping at one place somewhere in the middle of America. And it was like we were in a bus depot and there was pretty much nothing there. And it just felt so empty. And I was afraid that the bus would leave without us when we went to the bathroom. And we would just be stranded in the middle of nowhere with nothing. And this is before like smartphones. I don't even remember. I think I had a cell phone, but maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
We did not have
cell phones. I don't
cell
think
phones.
we did. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
You don't get any rest on a Greyhound bus.
True.
There's no sleep if you're,
It's like sleep deprivation.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a study.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a study. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, I already mentioned it before, but when we were just married and leaving for our honeymoon,
yes,
we, did all the right stuff. We had our tickets, our luggage. We got on the L. Someone dropped us off at O'Hare in Chicago, and we were ready. And we were looking for a flight, and it was nowhere to be seen on the monitors.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to a desk, and we were like, "Hey, where's our flight? We can't find it." And they're like, "That's because you're at the wrong airport."
Cue the music.
The intense music. And so we took an L, and the airport was the Midway on the very opposite side of town. That ride on the L to get to the airport was so stressful.
I wish I could go back in time and watch that airport, like the concierge person. I want to watch their face watching us.
Yes.
Because when they said you're at the wrong airport, I think my brain, I had that and I looked at a clock and I'm like, how long does it take to get to the other airport? They're like, it takes an hour and 15 minutes to get there with good traffic. And I'm like, we have an hour and 12 minutes until our flight is leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, should we take a car? Should we take a plane? Should we take a train? Literally, we asked that.
We did. Yeah.
And they were like, train.
Yeah. I kind of just blacked out. I don't know what.
Yeah, you did actually. I picked you up and just carried you.
But the best thing is our flight was delayed. Thank you. Always delayed in Chicago.
There you go.
So we made it and we got to go to Ireland. Yay.
Yeah. That was pretty crazy. Agree.
The other crazy thing is traveling with children.
Well, of course.
Every flight I've had with our children has had some sort of unforeseen, crazy eruption of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just glad they're older now.
Yeah, that is one of the nice things. Well, what's one thing you're thankful for with this podcast?
What number are we on?
We're on 54. This is 54? Episode 54.
I'm so thankful that we get to do this, that it's still fun, that we have friends that listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll stop there. I have a lot more, but I'll stop there. What about you?
I am thankful that I just get to spend time with you.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
That's great. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.